Jaishankar does not understand the threat by the Chinese at the LAC.
What Jaishankar had said at a press conference and during an interaction was that we also have to keep in mind that China has huge amount of money, nuclear material at their disposal. So India's retaliation has to be more nuanced and very, very careful. That is now being used by the BJP and by the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi to make the point that you're basically the grain of India's foreign policy is based on cowardice. Cowards talk like that. You're scared of people who are more powerful than you. And this is a kind of a bizarre response coming in from the foreign minister to the Chinese and on what action should be taken against China, according.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zakka Jacob. Rahul Gandhi, speaking to an audience in London, says that democracy is dying in India. He went on to accuse the Modi government of killing all independent institutions. He also wondered why the beacons of democracy, the United States and Europe, were not saying a word about what's going on in India when it comes to suppression of religious freedoms, freedom of the press, etc. The BJP has hit right back, saying that Rahul Gandhi is openly asking for intervention by Western powers because he can't seem to defeat Mr. Modi electorally. So the big question, and we'll open this up to our panelists who will be joining us in just a moment, who is undermining democracy?
The so-called defenders of democracy, which are the United States, European countries, seem to just be oblivious.
Congress MP Rahul Gandhi continues to target the Modi government while sitting 7,000 kilometers away in London. Now he claims that structures of Indian democracy are under brutal attack and there is a full-scale assault on institutions in India. And he calls out the US and Europe for failing to notice.
How would you react if something, a structure 3.5 times Europe suddenly went non-democratic? But there's no reaction. And if we're talking about Europe, that's the thing that shocks me. And of course, there are reasons for there not being a reaction. There is sort of trade and there is money and stuff like that.
Countering BJP's criticism, Rahul Gandhi said it's the Prime Minister who defames India abroad, not him.
Last I recall the Prime Minister going abroad and announcing that there's been nothing done in 60 years of independence, 70 years of independence. I remember him saying that, there's a lost decade of 10 years. These were not things he said in India, these were things he said abroad.
The BJP accused Rahul Gandhi of routinely criticizing India to hide his own failures.
विदेशी दोस्त हों, विदेशी एजेंसियां हों, विदेशी चैनल हों या फिर विदेशी जमी हो, किसी का भी दुरुपयोग करके भारत को बदनाम करने का कोई मौका नहीं छोड़ रहे। मुझे लगता है अपनी नाकामियों को छिपाने के लिए एक सुनियोजित तरीके से विदेशी सरजमीन से राहुल गांधी जी ने भारत को बदनाम करने का ठेका ले रखा है।
Whether at Cambridge University or while addressing the Indian diaspora in London, Rahul Gandhi has made a string of allegations against the Modi government. Is it a question of dissent or defamation?
So Rahul Gandhi in that speech referred to the United States and to Europe as defenders of democracy, but their own track record is rather patchy. The United States is the only country to ever use an atomic bomb. They did it twice on Hiroshima and Nagasaki at the end of World War II in 1945. The US's 20-year war in Afghanistan ostensibly was to remove the Taliban from power. It left the country devastated, it impoverished tens of thousands, and it brought the Taliban back to power. At the end of its war in Iraq, the United States could not prove if there were any weapons of mass destruction. That's the reason why they went into that war in the very first place, and they left it with a more unstable government. More than 30,000 civilians have been killed in the 3 years in Syria since airstrikes have been begun by a coalition led by the United States. And even at home, the US's track record has not been so stellar. There have been multiple incidents of unarmed African Americans being killed by armed cops, whether it is George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. The list goes on and on. And then in 2021, after the election results, more than 2,000 rioters, supporters of Donald Trump, election deniers, stormed the United States Capitol building and indulged in rioting, arson, and vandalism because they did not believe the election results. And Rahul Gandhi is still in London. He's now met with a bunch of 30-odd British MPs, and once again he's spoken out against the Modi government. He says that the central values of India are being attacked within India, and that there is an attempt by the BJP to erase history from history textbooks. Let me go across to Sanjay Suri, who's also joining us. He'll be joining us in just a moment. But let me first play out what Rahul Gandhi said, and then I'll go across to Sanjay.
I think democracy in India is a global public good. India is big enough where if democracy is weakened in India, democracy is weakened on the planet. So I think it's very important that when you think about what is happening in India, you also keep in mind that India is a democracy 3 times the size of the United States, 3 times the size of Europe. And if this democracy crumbles, it will be a huge setback for democracy on the planet. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So Sanjay, put this into context for our viewers, because Mr. Gandhi seems to be, this seems to be a bit of a leitmotif in his speeches in London, that democracy is under attack. It's under attack from within India, and that the Modi government is stifling democracy. What is the basis of such a claim, and what does he have to say when you folks also asked him about, the criticism from the BJP that he's sort of leaning on Western countries and Western institutions, almost pleading with them to intervene?
Well, he has said that he has spoken nothing against India. There was nothing against India in his Cambridge speech. He has said that when we did put this to him, that in no remark that he has made outside of India, particularly through his current visit to Britain, has he criticized India. But he says that in the face of what he has said, what he said just a few minutes ago in Parliament, where I was present when he was addressing members of Parliament in Britain. He said that India is being stifled, democracy is being stifled, debates on such disastrous policies as demonetization have not been allowed, and members of Parliament in India have been arrested simply for standing outside Parliament. He said that the RSS and the BJP have infiltrated institutions such as the media and the judiciary, and free expression is not possible. It has not been possible for the past 9 years, and that is one reason he undertook that yatra, in order to Bharat Jodo yatra, for reaching people he could not through the media and through the other institutions, including Parliament. So he has been saying this consistently. He has said this again in Parliament just a few minutes back, but he does say that he is not speaking against India.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much, Sanjay Suri, for joining us at the top. So Rahul Gandhi once again attacking the Modi government on foreign soil, saying that institutions are being compromised and that democracy is being killed from within here in India. He was speaking to a bunch of British parliamentarians. Let me now open this up to our full panel. Joining us this evening, RP Singh, BJP spokesperson; Ikram Singh Sandhu is Congress Party spokesperson; Mohandas Pai, chairman of Aaron Capital; Smita Prakash is editor of ANI; and Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, also joining us. Ikram Singh Sandhu, let me ask you specifically two charges that are being levelled by the BJP against Mr. Gandhi, that A, he's defaming India on foreign soil; B, he's leaning on Western countries, the United States and Europe, to almost intervene in India's democracy, because democratically the Congress party doesn't seem to be able to defeat Mr. Modi and his party.
Good evening, Zakka. A very warm good evening to all my co-panelists and the viewers watching at home. Now, just give me 2 minutes and I'll answer this direct and straight. Number one, that he's defaming India. Now, somebody who has defamed India, Mr. Rahul Gandhi has already spoke about it, is the Prime Minister, when he said that we were all ashamed to be Indians before 2015 and it was a curse if you were born in India. So just let's leave it there, because we can get into a tutu meme there with my co-panelist. The number one thing which everybody is talking about today is that somehow it has been confabulated that Rahul Gandhi today was calling on the foreign powers, which is basically US and EU, to somehow militarily intervene in India and set things straight. Now, I'd just like to jog everybody's memory back. In 2015, Barack Obama, the then president of the United States, came to India. And if you remember, in his final speech, he talked about inclusivity and Section 25 of our Constitution, and how India can only grow if everybody is taken together. It was a subtle remark that he made. It was right after the Akhlaq incident. And it was a signal that, look, you are a democracy, we are a democracy. You are the ruling party in power, but with that power comes certain responsibilities which you have to play.
No, but Mr.
But what
Sandhu,
happened
can I, sorry,
Just let me
30-second
finish, just let me
intervention.
finish.
Just give me, one second, give me 30-second intervention. I don't think, I mean, of course, I'm not saying there are no problems in India. I'm not saying there are no, one second. There are no incidents with communal overtones in India. Of course, there are 100 problems in India. No one is denying that. But why are you leaning, even in this argument that you're making, you're leaning on the crutches of a foreign president to make that point?
We are not.
You just quoted the example of Barack Obama.
That is what
right?
I'm telling. Now let me
So
finish.
why are you having to lean on a foreigner or a foreign visiting dignitary to make your point, which is exactly what the BJP is accusing Mr. Gandhi also of doing.
Yeah.
You are leaning on Western powers to talk about what is happening in India. Why? Because you're not good enough to talk about what's happening in India.
We are not saying that. Now let me just finish. I will not take more than 1 minute and that's it. I promise you that. Now, what has happened after that is that India has come to be known as a crony capitalist country. Now, everybody, America, EU, they are only looking for their self-interest. So when you see what happens in India, the judiciary is compromised, the election commission is compromised, the ED, the CBI, everybody is compromised, and they, rather than acting like watchdogs, are lapdogs for this government. So they see that a lot of crony capitalism can be done, and somebody who was 129th on the list of richest people is now at number 2nd. Of course, now he slipped to number 11th. That's a different thing. So the Western world knows that there's money to be made here. Now you have your ports, you have your airports, you have your highways, everything being given for the highest bidder. And where is it going? You have shell companies in the Adani Group, which we don't know what their base is.
One second. These are matters of investigation. There are regulatory bodies that are investigating. Now the Supreme Court is also investigating. Anyway, I don't think it would be fair to prejudge the investigation. Let the investigation come. But RP Singh, please respond to the Congress's charge. A, Mr. Gandhi has not asked for any kind of intervention by Western powers. He was only showing them the mirror. And number two, they are making a very clear distinction that criticizing the Modi government is not the same thing as criticizing India. He's not criticized India. He's only criticized the government and its policies. And the Prime Minister does the same thing when he goes abroad. RP Singh.
One is about this, that who is criticizing whom. Just now, the Congress panelist, the spokesman of Congress, said judiciary is not free. Judiciary is being under pressure. He just now used some other word, which I don't want to use. I don't want to be held by court under contempt. He spoke about media. I mean, Zakka, you were the one who raises question every day to us and to everyone for that regard. And he spoke about the election commission. So, problem is with the Congress is that they are a dynasty. And dynasty only thinks that it's my way or highway. I mean, if things go by our way, is good. If not, then everything is wrong. There's the problem. Secondly, I take strong objection to one thing which we all have missed, that Rahul Gandhi there told a young child, sick child, that do you know you are a second-class citizen in India? Do you know what sort of shameful thing Rahul Gandhi has done to India? Amritpal has picked up this and is reiterating this, that, we are second-class citizen in India. He speaks the language of Amritpal, the radicals, or the radicals pick from him and then use his phrase to bifurcate India.
Okay.
That's the problem. And again, Zakka, problem is that they can't win election here. That's why they go and defend. When they say minorities are in trouble in India. Just now, we won election in Northeast. We won election with the support of other parties, and we won election all over also. So, are minorities against her, or are we against minorities? Then why would we win elections in Nagaland or Tripura or Meghalaya for that regard? But since they can't make headway, and who is talking about minorities in India? A party which butchered 3006 in Delhi. And Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, his father was leading that butchering brigade. So they are talking about, minorities in trouble in India. So they try to build up when they go abroad, they try to build up an ecosystem there because they know that they can't get all that resonance here. So let's go and do it abroad.
No, so let me ask Mohandas Pai, and he was shaking his head when the Congress spokesperson was speaking. These are the facts. These are the electoral / political facts. Since 2014, there have been more than 50 state assembly elections in the last 8 years, of which the Congress party, either in direct contest with the BJP or in alliance against the BJP, has lost 45 out of those 50 state elections. Is that the real reason why Rahul Gandhi and others are, now leaning on other institutions, Western powers to, I wouldn't say intervene, but at least to be seen as saying something about what's going on in India? The bottom line is, if you want to defeat Mr. Modi and the BJP government and the NDA government, do it democratically. Do it here through the people of India. It's the people of India who will decide if and when they want to change this government. It's not Barack Obama or Rishi Sunak who's going to decide that. Mohandas Pai?
Zakka, over the last many years, who has been maligning India, saying that we are an electoral autocracy, flawed democracy, we don't respect human rights, we got criminal problem? Who has been doing it and spending money? It is George Soros and his gang. For the last many years, they've been funding many of these people who come out with opinions, who come out with all kind of polls, and they've been publishing it, and they've been exposed by Salvador Banates, who's gone into the data, and you're seeing every year they push us down, and who's funding it? George Soros. Now I want to ask, why is Rahul Gandhi supporting the Soros narrative? What is the connection? I want to ask, would Indira Gandhi ever do this outside India, even after she was defeated? Indira Gandhi was always on the guard against foreign interference in India. She was a patriot and a nationalist, whatever be her flaws, and she will always make sure that no country outside India can interfere in India's politics or India. She'll always safeguard the idea of India when she goes abroad. She stood up to Nixon, she stood up to the 7th Fleet, she stood up to everybody to stand for India despite whatever problems are there. Now look at Rahul Gandhi, our grandson. He goes outside and says, we are not a democracy, we are not this, we are not that. He can't talk in India, he can't do this, he can't. I mean, what rubbish is this? I mean, how can a sane person ever do this? As an Indian, I'm very offended, Zakka. I've spent 40 years of my life building up my country, building business, building industry. I'm very proud of my country. I inherited a very poor, broken country from Nehru because it destroyed the Indian economy in the first 30 years. After liberalization, we worked our butts off to build this country. And I'm very proud. I grew up at a time when the Indian passport had no value. Now, Indian passport is respected everywhere. What has Rahul Gandhi done for this country? What has he done to build this country individually in his name? And he goes, makes all these loud statements. And all these darbaris come here and abuse. Oh, Barack Obama made this statement. Who the hell is Barack Obama to come to India and make such statements about India? Who the hell is he? We all know what happened to Barack Obama. He was funded by the evangelists. And they wanted to come here, put money and convert. And he didn't have the courage to talk openly. In his last speech, he made some remarks and left because he's funded by them. It's very clear looking at his background. Do we respect any foreign president coming here and talking about India? We don't go to the US and talk about the blacks. We don't call it the killing of the blacks. We don't talk about the racism there. We don't talk about other countries. We let them be. We don't want anybody to interfere here. And the stories about crony capitalism, most of the cronies are in jail. They run away from this country. They're in jail. It's the Congress which promoted crony capitalism. Even if you talk about Adani, what is the favor done to Adani by this government? Or any government? No government has done a favor to Adani in the last 40 years. Let them all prove. Because Adani grew up in the Congress government, other government, in this government. What is the favor done to Adani? None of them are able to talk.
That
they
is
make
what we are
vague
asking for. Then
allegations.
why
We are
is
a
the
broken
government shying away
democracy.
from a
We can't do
JPC?
anything.
One second,
Just keep
Mr.
quiet,
Sandhu,
man.
one
Keep
second.
quiet, man. Don't talk
Mr. Sandhu,
rubbish.
one second, not like
Keep
this.
quiet and
Not
don't
like
talk
this,
rubbish.
not like this. Mr. Sandhu,
Don't
you are
talk
coming on
rubbish.
this debate for the first time. We have certain
India has
rules
got
in this
crony
debate.
capitalism.
It's one by
Has
one.
the gentleman ever
It's one
run
by
a
one.
business?
Yeah.
Has he competed to grow an industry? We have run the business for 40 years.
Okay.
We've grown industry.
So
We created a
let
world-class
me
industry.
ask Smita
We stand
Prakash, and
for
I think
India.
one of the points
What
that
does he
Mr.
stand
Pai
for?
made, which is well taken,
I'm very offended.
is that
It is treachery in
previously,
my view. Zakka, one
even
point.
when prime
Zakka,
ministers
one
used to
point.
travel abroad,
Zakka, 1 point.
Yeah.
Zakka, 1 point. Zakka,
Okay.
tell me if you're smart at all and if you got any brains in your head, how will this statement go down with young people below the age of 40 who are going to be the majority voters in 2024? They're all nationalistic, patriotic, they're proud of this country. When Rahul goes outside and abuses India, calls on the UK and EU to take action against India, what will these young people do? Do you think they're going to vote for him? Do you think they're going to vote for him? Is he
Okay.
going to win votes in India? I don't know how anybody in a sane mind can ever do this
Okay.
and hope for elections in the country.
So let me
I mean,
let
the
me
height
ask
of
Smita Prakash
stupidity.
this. There was always this unsaid rule, prime ministers, irrespective of which political party they belong to, whenever they went on foreign trips, when they would come back, they would refrain all through the tour about talking about domestic politics. And there was a reason for that. You don't wash your dirty linen in public, and that too on somebody else's soil. This was a convention that was kept very much through time. I mean, and you've been on board flights when prime ministers have traveled abroad. Rahul Gandhi is making the claim that this convention was broken by Prime Minister Modi when he addresses the diaspora. He's talked about, the lost decade, and he's talked about nothing has happened in the last 60 years, so on and so forth. So Rahul Gandhi's claim is in London, and he said this, that if Mr. Modi can break the convention, then why can't I? Smita.
Well, I think, Zakka, firstly, Rahul Gandhi is not a former prime minister. Rahul Gandhi is not a former prime minister, and he doesn't have the maturity and probably will never have the maturity as a Mrs. Gandhi. So to bring him into that, into the debate and saying that Mrs. Gandhi used to do this and his father Rajiv Gandhi did, he won't do that. He doesn't have that political maturity. As far as the other person, bringing in Barack Obama, I think what low self-esteem do we Indians have that we need to quote Obama of 2015 in 2023. I think it's quite pathetic. We don't need to bring in as to what Obama said about our country. Did Mr. Modi bring in politics when he went abroad, and does that give a license to Rahul Gandhi to bring politics? Sure, it's a democracy. We have free speech. If a tradition has been there for some time and the tradition got broken, he is welcome to do it. The problem is in what he says. It's the content. Mr. Rahul Gandhi has started believing in this myth that he has created of himself, that he and his party is above politics, that it is engaged in some qualities of, where mortal dreams and aspirations are not something, that, terrorists in Kashmir are rendered immobile due to his beatific presence. He is welcome to his views, and he is welcome to express those views within the country and outside the country. Whether it is normative or not normative is a different matter. He is welcome to air it. It's free. It's a free country where he lives and a free country where he is visiting. So he can do that. The fact is about the optics. As Mr. Mohandas Pai said, that the optics is what matters. Doesn't he realize, doesn't he know, his own party should know that when Mr. Manishankar Iyer literally became irrelevant after what he did in Pakistan in 2015, why Shashi Tharoor of his own party praised by across the board, bipartisan appreciation. When he goes abroad, he praises India. He has differences of opinion about Mr. Modi and about BJP, but when he goes abroad, he praises India and he stays clear about politics. Mr. Advani never got over praising Mr. Jinnah in Pakistan. Yeah. His own party disengaged from him. God knows there are millions of troubles within our own country, and we can air them in public forums within the country. But when you go abroad, you represent the country, and just the optics matters. You are free to do what you want to, but the whatever gains he probably made in that Bharat Jodo Yatra, he washed it away in this visit.
All right, Rashid, is that a point that you would buy, that whatever gains that were made, again, to public perception of Rahul Gandhi's image, that he seems to have kicked off with this London trip? Because like both Mr. Pai and Smita were saying, it's not just the fact that you're criticizing a government or even criticizing the country outside. It's a free country. You're free to do that. But then you can't come back. With what face are you coming back and asking the same people of this country votes for the Congress party?
Zakka, I think everybody has a point of view, and so is Rahul Gandhi. And Rahul Gandhi has been very consistent. It's nothing new that he was saying it here or not. This whole idea of in the era of this internet and technology to say that this is happening at the Indian soil and abroad is slightly tricky and problematic. What if somebody posts something on a social media, on a Twitter, on a Facebook, on Insta or so? Is it something Indian, or is it something that the platform belongs to outside India. So I don't attach much importance to it. The key point here is that Rahul Gandhi's opponents have very smartly done this, that the fine distinction between the Indian state and government of India is sought to be blurred. Any criticism of government of India is touted to be a criticism of the Indian Union or the Indian state. Now that is where I think the Congress is struggling to find a response. There is nothing that Rahul Gandhi is saying what he did not say during Bharat Jodo Yatra and what he has said it there.
No, but Rashid, no one has a problem with him criticizing the government. He's free to do that, whether he's in India, whether he's abroad. I think when he says the basic contention that he's making that democracy is dying in India, I mean, we had elections recently. Yes, the Congress party did not win any of those states, but it's not like, there was violence and people could not come out to vote, or there was no peaceful, elections. The elections happened absolutely peacefully, in fact, with stellar voting percentages as well. Just because the result doesn't suit you doesn't mean democracy is dying, right?
Zakka, this is a point of view. That is what I'm saying. Perhaps what he meant was in the context of civilizational thing, the way America has been a champion of democracy, not today, past 300 years. UK, the kind of parliamentary democracy system we have, Westminster model of democracy. It's not about the specifics.
No, so
Zakka,
again,
I have a very strong objection to this.
I'm not sure I agree with the view that America is a better democracy than ours, or UK is a better democracy than ours. I don't think that's necessarily true. Older, maybe yes, but more perfect, no, I don't think so. But I'm coming back to the point. Let's put this to test. And I want to ask Mr. Sandhu this: when Rahul Gandhi says minorities are being ill-treated, yes, you can give instances, no doubt about it. But I'm going purely by data, and this is data released by the National Crime Records Bureau. This was there in the Congress's time, and this is there now in Mr. Modi's time. The number of crimes, when he came to office in 2014, the number of communal incidents that happened in India was 644. In 2021, it came down to 378. Data shows that the number of communal incidents has come down. So, is the data showing one thing and the narrative showing something else? Is that the attempt that's going on here, Mr. Sandhu?
Zach, a lot of time the data is not the king. There are a lot of layers that we have to go through. And any intelligent person, you speak to anybody on the street, a BJP supporter also, and he says that the social fabric of this country is in a much worse condition today than it was in 2014. Now, if we are debating that, then all of us have an IQ issue, because that is past. That is something we have to agree with. Now, coming to the other thing that we were talking about, that foreign powers are talking and this thing. We are all democracies and we hold each other's hand. When 6th January 2021 happened in the US, our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, said that this is a black day for democracy globally and a peaceful transition of power should happen in America, and whatever happened is totally wrong. Was he trying to intervene in the US system? Was he going to send RAF there to put things right? In a democratic world where all these countries, the EU countries, India, USA, Australia, the democratic world, we lean on each other. If something goes wrong somewhere, we have a right to speak on it. And we did. On January 6th, your channel carried, programs on the January 6th carnage.
Yeah.
Were you trying to destabilize United States? Were you a foreign hand? Were other channels a foreign hand? Was the government of India, the opposition in India, a foreign hand? No,
okay, RP Singh respond, and then I'll have to get closing comments as well. Yeah, RP Singh.
Two points. August 6, 2019, when abrogation of 370 and 35A happened, Rahul Gandhi said, bloodshed is happening, katleaam ho raha hai, khoon beh raha hai, nadiyan bahegi khoon ki. That's the narrative he tries to build. Secondly, I have a very strong objection to another point which you are missing. He keeps harping on that India is a union of states like Europe. I have a very strong objection. He is poor on Indian history, Indian mythology, Indian Sanskriti. Man doesn't know about India as such. Let me just quote one line from Guru Granth Sahib. Khursana khasmane kiye Hindustan daraya. Having attacked Khursana, Babur terrified Hindustan. This is Ang 360, page 360 of Shri Guru Granth Sahib. 500 years back it was Hindustan. Today it is union of states. That's the problem with Rahul Gandhi, that he doesn't know about India, he doesn't know about our culture. So, but he has to go and put his foot in his mouth, and every time he does it, it helps us. I mean, he can keep doing and redoing that. But fact is, in doing that, he defames India. He tried to bring shame to the India.
Okay, so Mohandas Pai, it comes back to, again, I'm bringing the example of the Northeast elections because I think Prime Minister Modi in the victory speech made an interesting point. Whether or not that will translate into other states, we'll have to wait and see. But he said, if Meghalaya, which is 70% Christian population, and Nagaland, which is more than 80% Christian population, can vote for the BJP and its allies to come back to power, then this whole narrative that BJP is an anti-minority party is not true. Those were his words. Whether that translates into states like Kerala and others, we don't know. But again, I come back to, is the narrative at a mismatch with the reality on the ground?
Zakka, the reality on the ground is the people of India want an improvement in the quality of their lives. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has done more for the poor of this country in the last 9 years than any Prime Minister in India's history. The data is very clear. And they're all voting for him all over the country based on the benefits that they got. They got housing, they got water, they got toilets, they got power, they got education, they got food on the table, they got a bank account, they got health insurance, they got everything. The necessities of life has reached out to everybody. The Congress failed during its time to do that, except talk about it. Modi has done it. People are voting with their feet. And young people of this country are getting massive amount of jobs. The data says is all. You can call, you can make some stupid remarks that there's jobless growth and all that, and the people are voting. And young people today are very proud of the country. I'm really shocked that Rahul Gandhi, who claims to be a youth leader and is a very nice person, if you meet him, he's a very, very nice person. He's making such statement outside. I don't know who his advisors are. Do you think young people of this country like this? I had thousands of calls from people whom I know through emails and everything else telling me they're very angry and upset at what Rahul has done. Do you think he's going to get him votes in this country? Do you think young people are going to vote for him after hearing all this?
Okay.
Come on, Zakka, you're a political leader. You exist to come to power. And power comes to the elections. And he says India is not a democracy. Then why is he competing in the next elections? Let him not compete in the next elections. He can do what he wants. Let the people who believe in democracy compete. I mean, I don't understand how he can ever make such statements. Who are his advisors? Why is he doing all this? Because this is going on very badly with voters. Who are the final deciders in this country? Not Cambridge, not those MPs in America, not those NRI. They don't decide for the country. People of this country decide, and people of this country are very angry and upset at what he's saying.
Smita, I'll give you the final word. What may be the electoral / domestic sort of political fallout of this? Will it have any impact at all in the upcoming elections, the states that are going to polls, Karnataka, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh? Or again, in 2024, when the choice is Modi versus Rahul Gandhi, will it be too stark against the Congress party because of some of these comments that Mr. Gandhi has made?
Look, I think, Zakka, we are a very noisy democracy. So sometimes, something has been said abroad, whether that resonates in India or not, we really don't know. It's basically some of us who have seen it on video, some of us who are on social media, who got outraged. But it's literally an outrage a day these days. There's a trigger warning to literally every statement that is made. So whether this lasts through the next news cycle or not, nobody really knows, or whether it will be, brought in again just before an election. But it does irritate, when somebody says, somebody as to the manner born, as Rahul Gandhi says, that there's no level playing field. I mean, come on, like, what are you complaining about? One tends to think, how can a Gandhi family person complain that that he has not benefited or she has not benefited from a system? It's a non-playing field for somebody who doesn't come from a political family, but he comes from a family which has benefited all the time. And for him to say things like, I don't even own a house. Why don't you own a house? Because you've lived in government housing all your life. That's why you don't own a house. So these kind of statements really seem incongruous coming from somebody who has led such a privileged upbringing.
Okay.
I don't own a car. Of course you don't own a car because you've had government cars all your life. So these kind of things just don't resonate with people of India.
Okay, Rashid, I'll give you the final word. Is there a mismatch between Mr. Gandhi's comments, what he's saying, whether he's saying it in India or abroad, and this new aspirational India that Mohandas Pai and Smita were alluding to?
Yeah, so perhaps it will not make an impact, as Smriti was saying. We are a very noisy democracy, does not have a lasting value. But what I'm saying is the kind of spin that the BJP gives to Rahul Gandhi's statement, that is something that poses a challenge to the Congress, because Congress has to come with a narrative. I mean, here is a political party that has won a 3 decisive war against Pakistan, and they are questioning the Congress's, nationalistic credentials. So this is something that should also outrage people.
Okay.
A family who has lost, 2 family members in terror. You see, they are being accused of being privileged. What kind of privilege is that? I have lived in government house because my father and my wife, they were in government service. So I can't help it. This cannot be held against Rahul Gandhi. The fact that he's been winning elections.
Very small point, Zakka.
Okay. All right. I gotta leave it at that. We'll see how the story plays
Katwai
out.
Sahab, war was won not by Congress party, by army.
Okay. We'll leave it at that.
And
We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to
table.
all our panelists. We'll see how the story plays out. Whether or not it will have any domestic political / electoral implications and fallout, we'll have to wait till the Karnataka elections to know. But clearly, there seems to be a bit of a mismatch, a tone deafness, if you will, to what Mr. Gandhi is saying, not least because he's saying it on foreign soil, but also the contents of what he has said. Meanwhile, talking about what's going on in Karnataka, because it's been 3 days now since BJP MLA Virupakshappa was in fact caught accepting bribes. His son, who happens to be a senior official in the BWSSB, is under arrest. 8 crores were recovered from his office and 2 crores from the MLA's office. But now BJP stalwart and former Chief Minister Yediyurappa says that Virupakshappa will be arrested by tomorrow. Question is, how does he know that? And why has this MLA, this absconding MLA, not been arrested up until now? Because tomorrow, his anticipatory bail will also come up in court, which he had moved.
Days after Prashant Madal was caught red-handed while accepting a 40 lakh bribe, the clock is ticking for his father, Karnataka BJP MLA Virupakshappa. He has been named the prime accused by the Lokayukta and has moved a bail petition in the Karnataka High Court. Virupakshappa has gone underground and a red-faced BJP has warned that he will have to face the law.
ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾನೂನು ಅಂತ ಏನು ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅದು ಮುಚ್ಚಾಕುವಂತ ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಪಕ್ಷ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಬಂಧನ ಮಾಡಿ ಮುಂದಿನ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ 2 ಮಾತಿದೆ ಆ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಸರ್ಕಾರ.
The Congress has called for a bandh on the issue, cornering the Bommai government by claiming that this is the clincher on their allegations of 40% commission sarkar.
ಈ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರ ಮುಕ್ತ ರಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬಂದನ್ನ ಆಚರಣೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕರೆಯನ್ನ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಪಕ್ಷ ನೀಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
The BJP accused the Congress of trying to cover up its own scandals.
ಇವರು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಇವ್ರ ಕೈ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರದಿಂದ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಕೂಡಿದೆ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಜನ ಇವ್ರದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಟ ನೋಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
With assembly elections around the corner, will the Bribegate storm hurt the BJP?
All right, will Bribegate haunt the BJP in Karnataka? Ashok Gowda is Karnataka BJP spokesperson. Aishwarya Mahadev, Congress spokesperson, joining us. Ashok Gowda, it's been 3 days since this MLA, there was money that was recovered from his office. His son was arrested for accepting 40 lakh bribe. Why has this MLA not been arrested? And how does Mr. Yediyurappa know that Virupakshappa will be arrested tomorrow?
See, Zakka, what is happening is the Madal Virupakshappa will be definitely have to go through the legal trial, whatever the government or the Lokayukta has prescribed. And we are not going to save anybody who has done the crime. Unlike the Congress, which saved Siddaramaya's son or anybody else during their period, including like their party president D.K. Shivakumar in Karnataka, KPCC president or Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. We are not like that. We are very clear and we are bound for the commitment of zeroing the corruption in India. And we have taken steps, and definitely in Karnataka and in India, we will eradicate the corruption.
Sir, but how does this compare to, you're saying zero corruption, zero tolerance, etc. But there is the perception that your government in Karnataka is a 40% commission government. And now you have no less than a sitting MLA. His son is a senior official in the sewage treatment board, the water and sewage treatment board. He is caught on camera taking money, and the father MLA is still absconding for 3 days.
See, let's understand Lokayukta is a statutory body, and Lokayukta's police, which is not under the state government, are searching for Madal Virupakshappa, and definitely Madal Virupakshappa. We are confident that even our Lokayukta police is efficient and he will be arrested soon.
Okay.
And that's a different issue. But let's understand, our government, when the Congress was there, ACB was introduced, and because of the ACB, such cases never happened. No trapping happened. And because our government came, and we were bound to revive the Lokayukta, and we have revived it, and ACB
Okay.
is now a closed matter.
So, Aishwarya Mahadev, not only did you not go after corruption within your own government, you also disbanded the Lokayukta, you brought in the Anti-Corruption Bureau with the express purpose of not investigating cases, and yet, despite that, there are a number of your leaders who have ED cases against them for Hawala transactions.
Good evening, Zakka. I think first and foremost, if the BJP government cannot apprehend an MLA who very recently came to the CM's office to tender his resignation and they couldn't apprehend him and there's a lookout notice for him, please tell me how the BJP government is going to even handle law and order in an entire state. And the second thing is, Ashok Gowda has conveniently rewritten the laws of which police comes under where. Last I remember, the state subjects allow law and order and police to function under the state government, and the Home Minister is directly responsible for what has happened here. Third thing, I want to ask Mr. Ashok Gowda that when did you come to power? How many years has it been that you came to power? And now you and your government talk about Congress corruption that happened when? From a period of 2013 onwards. What have you done? You could have taken action against all our leaders. You could have basically gone after us. And please don't take any credit for the entire idea of the Lokayukta coming back. It was the High Court that reinstated the Lokayukta and you had absolutely no part in it, sir. It is shameful that you sit here and talk about cases against Congress leaders when if you are a party of difference, if you are na khaunga, na khane dunga, why didn't you take action for so long? And please, sir, if you want to talk about all my leaders, I can tell you the number of leaders that have had basically infructuous cases put against them, including Mr. D.K. Shivkumar. And if you look at the Panchnama, you know exactly what exactly is the reality of the case and how you are talking. But now,
but Aishwarya, it is also a fact that there were corruption allegations against Mr. Siddaramaiah and his son. There were corruption allegations that continue to be against Mr. D.K. Shivkumar.
Tell me, Zakka, very logically, if they are a government that has no tolerance for corruption, and let's not even mention the hundreds of scams, whether it is PSI, assistant professor, assistant registrar, whether it is teachers, there are hundreds, I can tell you, of scams that are happening, and 40% is not my Congress talking about it. It is the people of the state. But tell me, if they are a party of difference, what do they do in 3 years? Mr. Bommai now, just before this term of the tenure of this government ends, says we will come back to power and take action against the Congress corruption. Amit Shah finally comes here and basically says we will make Karnataka Congress free, corruption free. What have they been doing for 3 years?
Okay, so let me ask Mr. Gowda. Mr. Gowda, there was a massive allegations of a scam in police recruitment, teacher recruitment. Like I said, the head of the Contractors Association committed suicide by writing a letter saying, one minister asked for 40% commission. That minister had to be removed from the cabinet. This is whether it's the reality or not, this is the perception. And these are the news stories around your government. And now the latest one, an MLA and his son being caught for accepting bribe. How do you, compare that perception to what you are saying and what you are claiming? And as Aishwarya said, all your leaders are claiming that, give us one more chance, we will make Karnataka corruption free.
See, let's understand, ACB was introduced, and the way it was introduced, any case which have to be investigated, as to the permission should be taken by the sitting chief minister. Then almost 68 cases were registered on Siddaramaiah himself. Almost around 20 cases and 20 and odd cases where B report was given, including the corruption charges on his son. That is one. The second part is, in the 40% commission, whatever Contractors Association chairman was saying, he was not a contractor at all. He was a retired contractor. He was just having a chair. He is a Congress appointed man. and including the person who committed a suicide, Santosh. He was from a MLA constituency, which is Lakshmi Hebalkar's constituency. As well as there are a lot of issues where we can clearly see Congress, because they want to come back to power, they played a foul game around the BJP, but the narrative has died. Now they are caught in their own their own soup.
Okay.
Or like, basically we are trying to expose all the corruption charges against Congress.
Okay, so
See,
Aishwarya
what your point
Madhav,
is, the 200 crore
if indeed, as you
coffee
claim,
bill during the tenure
this
of
government is
Siddaramaiah as
rife with
CM.
corruption, how does holding a one-day bandh help solve that?
So before I answer that, I'm just going to ask Ashok Gowda one thing. If you know all these cases of corruption against all our leaders, you had 3 years to take action. You did not. You're talking about you're literally disowning a man who used to be a BJP karyakarta and saying now he was from the Congress after he committed suicide, and it's very shameful for you and your cadre. And Zakka, the fact of the matter is the Congress has taken the fight to the people. We are telling them this is what is happening. Our bandh is symbolic to say that this state and the BJP is mired in corruption and it inconveniences everybody, from cattle feed to eggs for school children in the midday meal to boots and uniforms. You're seeing corruption reach a level that is not only unprecedented, it is absolutely nauseating and sickening. The Congress is going to peacefully protest for 2 hours. We are not going to inconvenience people, but we are going to take those 2 hours in every town and city to highlight to the common people that they are being robbed in broad daylight by this BJP government. Ashok Gowda will talk about the past, but please tell me, you are again government of difference, zero tolerance for corruption.
Yeah,
what did you do in 3 years?
I want to
you
thank
know how many of your
Ashok
ministers...
Gowda and Aishwarya Mahadev for joining us. I'm completely out of time on this debate because I'm also getting a piece of breaking news which I need to go into. And again, this is coming from Karnataka. There are some signs of internal drift within the BJP. There seems to be dissidence amongst 2 cabinet ministers, which has come to the fore. Minister V. Somanna has skipped the Vijay Sankalp Yatra that was held in Bengaluru today after Minister R. Ashok abruptly got down from the Yatra in the morning. Somanna has been miffed with the party and has been contemplating quitting. R. Ashok, who is a senior BJP leader and a senior minister from the city, has been having a bit of a cold war, if you will, with Somanna. Harish now has more details on this. Harish, put this into context for our viewers.
Well, for the last few days, we've seen Somanna being miffed with the party. In fact, he skipped one of the yatras that was seeing GP Nadda taking part in it. And today he's a minister from the city, but he seems to have his cold war continuing with R. Ashok, who's a senior minister once again from the city. And in the morning, when R. Ashok skipped a part of this yatra, last leg of this yatra in the city, you had Somanna reciprocating by skipping the other part of the yatra in the evening, where it was happening in a different part of the city. What it does for the BJP is 2 things. One, Somanna is a senior minister and also a Lingayat face, someone who enjoys immense influence amongst various Lingayat much. So the BJP is in a fix on that front. And second, these 2 are senior ministers from the city who hold clout not just in their own constituency but adjoining constituencies as well. At a time when the BJP wants to make gains in Bengaluru, 2 of their ministers not being coming together to work, perhaps it's not the best news.
All right, Harish, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how the story plays out, this internal rift between 2 ministers in the Karnataka BJP. Quick break. When we come back, talking about internal rifts, Imran Khan, the former Pakistan Prime Minister, once again managing to evade arrest. But how long can he continue to evade the law? We'll tell you details about this case that is haunting him and what the political implications of it may be.
When we try to raise these questions, we're not allowed to raise them in the House. It's a fact. It's shameful, but it's true.
Our senior editor Pallavi Ghosh is joining live on this story. Pallavi, so now Rahul Gandhi has sought intervention from the US and Britain to intervene to restore Indian democracy. Can you tell us more about this?
So this was at the press conference which he did around a few days back, in I think day before on Saturday, where he made the point that he was actually also talking in the context of the BBC documentary, and he said that if the BBC had remained silent, then perhaps this kind of an investigation would not have taken place at their offices in Delhi and Mumbai, and that also explains why big countries in Europe and America are largely silent over what's happening in India, because there's money concerned, there are trade ties, and their trade and monetary benefits which accrues to these countries, which is why they prefer to remain silent. Of course, as expected, the BJP is, of course, taking a huge objection to it. And it's a borderline comment on the foreign policy of India. We'll have to wait to see that when the parliament session begins on 13th of March, whether the BJP is actually going to make this a big issue and whether they're going to try and move a notice against Rahul Gandhi. Because when it comes to foreign policy issues, it's also a very nuanced and careful line which one has to take.
By the way, also Rahul also made a big claim that Jai Shankar, External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar, does not understand the threat by the Chinese at the LAC.
What Jai Shankar had said at a press conference and during an interaction was that we also have to keep in mind that China has huge amount of money, nuclear material at their disposal. So India's retaliation has to be more nuanced and very, very careful. That is now being used by the BJP and by the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi to make the point that you're basically, the grain of India's foreign policy is based on cowardice. Cowards talk like that. You're scared of people who are more powerful than you. And this is a kind of a bizarre response coming in from the foreign minister to the Chinese, and on what action should be taken against China, according to the Congress party.
Also, Pallavi, we've seen how BJP has been constantly slamming Rahul Gandhi for defaming India on the foreign soil. But in defense, Rahul Gandhi has claimed that it was BJP, in fact, it was the Prime Minister who first insulted India abroad during his foreign visits. Prime Minister Modi had said that there has been no development in India in the past 60 to 70 years.
Yes, this was a question which was asked of him at the press conference, that, you are often accused by the BJP of bashing the country when you're abroad. So he said that, when the Prime Minister goes abroad and he says that no work has happened in the last 70 years and people are ashamed to be a part of India at that point of time, then who is saying it on a foreign soil? So this kind of a confrontation to meme will carry on between the BJP and the Congress. As of now, the BJP, of course, we know is in power at the center. Nationalism has always been a wicket on which the BJP has attacked the Congress party. So the entire comments of Rahul Gandhi are going to be whipped up as being anti-national, downgrading the dignity of your country abroad, when many countries abroad are actually acknowledging India's rise as one of the important players on the global stage.
Absolutely, Pallavi. Now, the BJP is also claiming that Rahul Gandhi is seeking foreign intervention in India's democracy, that too in the 75th year of independence, when India is celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and that too on the British soil.
Yes. This has been a kind of, according to BJP, Rahul Gandhi actually has been a habitual offender. I mean, if you just step back to 2008, 9, and even much later, 11 onwards, where he actually compared in one instance in Germany to the BJP and RSS to Muslim Brotherhood, there was a huge uproar even then, because the BJP says you are comparing ourselves to a terrorist organization and we are very much in power at the center. So what you're also doing is you're insulting the Indians and the voters who have voted for us. Whenever he's gone abroad, he's made the point that how democracy has been compromised in a country. We are made to look like an autocracy.
It was an action-packed Sunday as the police landed up at Imran Khan's residence in Lahore. They had an arrest warrant on them that was issued after he failed to appear before an anti-corruption court on the 28th of February. But when the police arrived at Zaman Park, they faced hordes of angry supporters of Imran's party, the Tehreek-e-Insaf. These PTI workers were reportedly carrying clubs and raising slogans in support of Imran Khan. The cops spent an hour at Khan's premises without encountering him. In fact, instead, they spoke to Khan's chief of staff, who assured them that they will comply with all the legal processes required. And then, lo and behold, hours after the police left his home, Imran Khan made an appearance. He addressed a press conference. He claimed that he has never bowed down before any man or institution. He also alleged that there was a serious threat to his life and that he was being dragged to the court in fake cases because there is a plot to kill him while on the way. Remember, Imran Khan was shot on the leg at a political rally in Wazirabad in November last year.
ना मैं किसी इंसान ना किसी इदारे किसी के सामने मैं ना जिंदगी में झुका हूं और इंशाल्लाह आपको भी कभी झुकने नहीं दूंगा। ये याद रखें कि जिधर पाकिस्तान को ये चोर और डाकू जिधर ये ले गए हैं, इसका सिर्फ एक कौम मुकाबला कर सकती है। इस वक्त का मुझे कत्ल कर रहा है, वो अभी भी इख्तिदार में बैठे हैं, पता है कि वो मुझे रास्ते से हटाना चाहते हैं, कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं है।
So what exactly is this Toshakhana corruption case that has put Imran Khan in the dock? It came to the fore in August of 2022 when the PMLN government filed a case against Imran Khan. They accused him of not disclosing information on gifts presented to the state depository called the Toshakhana. Now, the Toshakhana stores gifts as well as other expensive items that have been received by public officials. As per the rules, it is compulsory for officials to report these gifts and other materials that they've received while either foreign dignitaries present it to them or they receive it while they're on foreign trips. But when Imran Khan became Prime Minister in 2018, he resisted disclosing details of many of the presents that he received when he was Prime Minister. His argument that the disclosure would severely impact relations with other countries. Later, Imran Khan wrote to the Election Commission of Pakistan admitting to selling at least 4 such presents. He also said that he bought them from the government by paying a percentage of their value. Now, what were these gifts that he later on went on to sell? These included multiple Rolex watches, which were worth more than 5 million Pakistan rupees, a Graf watch that was gifted to him by the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, which was valued at 85 million Pakistani rupees, a pair of expensive cufflinks valued at more than 5.5 million Pakistani rupees, a pen which is worth 1.5 million Pakistani rupees, and even a ring which is valued at nearly 9 million Pakistani rupees. So almost 2 months after the case was filed against Imran Khan, the Election Commission of Pakistan said that sales were not illegal because the items belonged to Imran Khan and he had paid for them. But they did accuse him of engaging in unethical behavior, making false assertions and erroneous declarations. The poll body barred Imran Khan from holding public office for a period of 5 years for these errors of omission and commission. But news of Imran Khan's disqualification did not go down well with his supporters. Soon after the announcement, huge protests led by PTI workers broke out in front of the Election Commission offices across the country. Multiple instances of vandalism were reported during these demonstrations and protesters clashed with the police. A case of terrorism was then registered against Imran Khan, alleging that the PTI leadership had encouraged these protests after the Election Commission disqualified him in the Toshakhana case. Khan has filed for interim bail, claiming that the case against him is a result of political victimization. So whether or not this ups Imran Khan's stock politically in Pakistan and whether or not this will help him come the general elections later this year, that is something to wait and watch for. And also, in the run-up to that, will the government under Shahbaz Sharif actually bite the bullet and arrest Imran Khan, or will it risk making him a political martyr? We'll keep an eye out for all these developments. Thanks very much for tuning in. We'll catch you again tomorrow night, same time. Good night.
Benefits which accrues to these countries, which is why they prefer to remain silent. Of course, as expected, the BJP is of course taking a huge objection to it. And it's a borderline comment on the foreign policy of India. We'll have to wait to see that when the parliament session begins on 13th of March, whether the BJP is actually going to make this a big issue and whether they're going to try and move a notice against Rahul Gandhi. Because when it comes to foreign policy issues, it's also a very nuanced and careful line which one has to take.
By the way, also Rahul also made a big claim that Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, does not understand the threat by the Chinese at the LAC.
What Jaishankar had said at a press conference and during an interaction was that we also have to keep in mind that China has huge amount of money, nuclear material at their disposal. So India's retaliation has to be more nuanced and very, very careful. That is now being used by the BJP and by the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi to make the point that you're basically, the grain of India's foreign policy is based on cowardice. cowards talk like that, you're scared of people who are more powerful than you. And this is a kind of a bizarre response coming in from the foreign minister to the Chinese, and on what action should be taken against China, according to the Congress party.
Also, Pallavi, we've seen how BJP has been constantly slamming Rahul Gandhi for defaming India on the foreign soil. But in defense, Rahul Gandhi has claimed that it was BJP, in fact, it was the Prime Minister who first insulted India abroad during his foreign visits. Prime Minister Modi had said that there has been no development in India in the past 60 to 70 years.
Yes, this was a question which was asked of him at the press conference, that, you are often accused by the BJP of bashing the country when you're abroad. So he said that, when the Prime Minister goes abroad and he says that no work has happened in the last 70 years and people are ashamed to be a part of India at that point of time, then who is saying it on a foreign soil? So this kind of a confrontation to meh will carry on between the BJP and the Congress. As of now, the BJP, of course, we know is in power at the center.